We know Central New York, as well as most of the rest of the state for that matter, is facing a crisis when it comes to child care. Governor Kathy Hochul proposing a $110 million child care construction fund to build new facilities and repair existing sites to help make child care more accessible and affordable. Joining us now, Cornell professor Russell Weaver, a report co-author last year of the status of child care in New York State. Russell, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So I got to ask you, if you authored that report as best you can, what is the status of child care in New York State?
Sure. So I guess the best word would be precarious, but that's probably true of every state. There is very limited capacity, of course, because this is it's effectively a commodity. This is childcare that is provided by folks who are employed in an industry, and so it is a fee-for-service type of a model, and so there is limited capacity relative to almost a constant stream of demand.
So the simple thought, I think, would be, well, let's just build more places. But how much can the governor's construction proposal, if of course it's adopted by the legislature, how much can that actually help the child care issues we're facing here?
Sure. So as best we could calculate it, there are about 19 seats in licensed providers centers right now for every 100 children who are of childcare age. So again, there's a bit of that mismatch between supply and demand. The numbers that have come out of the governor's proposal, again, I applaud the effort. I think that the governor has demonstrated a commitment to childcare, but we are talking about $110 million for a landscape of about 17,000 providers, and ideally more than that, because we want to incentivize more providers to open up shop and create new establishments. And so that money would be distributed over a pretty big landscape, and the impact of it, again, would remain to be seen. It's not nothing. It is a sum, but for comparison, New York State kicked in about $600 million for construction costs of the Buffalo Bills Stadium. And so it's again, a look at those relative amounts and how far those dollars might be able to stretch.
Yeah, that was a pretty good comparison there. I like that. Very interesting. What would you say would be an expectation of like a timeline of return on investment, let's call it, because obviously we need more child care now, so how long will it take to kind of spread this 110 out and see it come to fruition?
That's hard to say. It will certainly depend on the capacity of state agencies working with local agencies to process applications for those funds and to make sure that those dollars get out in the community. And then when we're talking about construction, there's always lag time with improvements being made to existing establishments or creating new ones. And so this is something that we would expect to probably see take shape over years, not necessarily in the short term.
Can't just be about building facilities or centers, right? I mean, that's great, but what about the staff? I mean, what needs to happen to make sure we have more child care workers?
That's one of the biggest components, I would say. So in the multi-year research process that my colleagues and I have undertaken at Cornell on this topic, something that we've seen consistently in focus groups with providers, as well as looking at the raw quantitative data, is that childcare workers in New York State and everywhere, it's not just a New York State problem again, are grossly underpaid. And so providers will tell us that they want to pay higher wages, but there are razor thin profit margins, so they cannot raise wages. And so they're losing workers to fast food establishments, to convenience stores that are starting at $16 or $18 an hour. And so the work isn't necessarily, there's no great incentive to get into the field unless someone is very passionate about the work. And when they get there, they tend to find themselves burnt out very quickly because of the low pay, lack of benefits, and let's face it, a very difficult job. Childcare workers are not babysitters. They are educators, but they are paid probably about 3/5 of what an entry-level teacher is paid for elementary school. So again, righting that ship and making sure that the jobs are good jobs that pay high wages with good benefits will be a big step forward in this industry.
Yeah, and obviously, I guess we got to start somewhere. So maybe this, again, if approved, is a step in the right direction. It's not going to solve everything, but we got to start somewhere. Russell Weaver, thanks so much for your time today. Really kind of helps us understand a little bit better where we are and what we have to do going forward here. Really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Most definitely. Thank you.